Fuck it. I don't have an intro made, so let's just do some wannabe gangster shit real quick. Fuck it. Let's go.
Welcome to Nahh B, covering sports of all sorts. If there's any breaking news, you know we got the report. Our one and only goal is to make this your podcast resort. Get you your favorite team updates, both on and off of the court. Breaking down everything, NFL, NBA, MMA. Not much a soccer fan, but might even cover Team USA. Is KD leaving Golden State? Is Jordan really the GOAT? Is LeBron comfortable in LA? We'll keep the team afloat. If GSP fights Khabib, will he fight him toe to toe? And a Wilder Fury rematch, who's always gonna go? We'll cover everything and anything you wanna know. Whatever it may be, we'll break it all down on the show.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Nahh B Podcast. I am your host, Nahh B. This is going to be a very special episode because this is going to be a preview and breakdown episode like I usually do, but obviously this is going to be the first preview and breakdown episode in video format. It's going to be on my podcast channel as well. If you haven't seen my introduction video, it's on iTunes, Spotify, and Castbox. If you have any of those platforms, search me up and please subscribe. If you're watching this video right now, please subscribe as well. This is going to be episode 17 on the podcast channel. This is going to be a preview and breakdown of UFC 242, which is Khabib versus Poirier, and that is taking place this Saturday, September 7th. My bad. I did not write that down in my notes. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors, starting with Champs Boxing Club. That is my local boxing gym in Danbury, Connecticut. Amazing gym located on 128 East Liberty Street, Danbury, Connecticut. If you're looking for a dope gym, you're in the area looking for a dope gym, that's the gym to go to. Go in there. They got damn, that's how you know this is my first time doing this shit. They got state-of-the-art equipment. USA boxing certified trainers, and just the environment is amazing. You're looking for a new place, go there, look for AJ and tell him I sent you, and they will take great care of you. Second, now that I have a green screen and shit, I'm gonna do this pointing and shit's gonna pop up shit, I always thought that shit was cool when I was a kid, so now I can do it. Second sponsor, SmokieHash. He produces CBD products. If you don't know the benefits of CBD, I recommend that you look into it, especially if you deal with anxiety and depression. Like someone like myself, it helps amazingly, and it is a life changer. So, Smokey, thank you for sponsoring me, and shout out to you. Third sponsor, TK's, is my local sports bar, and amazing people. Again, I wouldn't have been sponsored by them if they wasn't. It's my go-to place, my go-to sports bar. Their happy hour is fucking amazing. Buy one, get one from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday. You can't fucking beat that. Buy one, get one drinks, But, you can't fucking beat that. They arguably have the best wings in Danbury and shit, arguably in Connecticut, So if you're ever in town, ever in Connecticut, come down to Danbury and go to TK's, get yourself some wings. You will not fucking regret it. And they will fucking take care of you, And I'm going to go over here in this corner now. My fourth and brand new sponsor, I mixed up dude and boy. Damn, I'm fucking up. Alright, my boy Vince Anderson with my nerdy neighbor down in Mississippi. They run a electronic repair shop. I'm up in Connecticut. They're down in Mississippi, but amazing people. I met them through this whole podcast thing, and they offer shipping deals where you ship down whatever you need fixed. They'll fix it and ship it right back. Great deal, and great price. Just you ever go to them, tell them I sent you, and they go and unscrew, screw, do all that bullshit. But alright, I'm done fucking around with all that. Now we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna break down UFC 242. If you see me looking over here, that's because I got my monitor up, and this is where all my notes are. So I'm not trying to, you know what I mean, I ain't trying to ignore y'all and shit. But alright, this is going to be the UFC 242 Poirier versus Khabib preview and breakdown. So we're just gonna go down the whole card. I'm just gonna name the fights, and then after that, we're gonna go through the main card fights, and I'm just gonna do a quick breakdown. Give my keys to victory and thoughts for each fighter and whatnot, and then my predictions at the end of it all. Usually I do two two prelim fights that I'm looking most forward to, along with the whole main card. But for this episode, just cause this is gonna be the first one, I ain't trying to like make it a super long video and whatnot. So we're just gonna do the main card. But alright, going down the fight list, the main card, the main event, of course, the 5-round lightweight title bout between Khabib Nurmagomedov, 27-0-0, undefeated, taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier, the Diamond. That is a nickname, right? Is it the Diamond or Diamond? I'm having a brain fart right now. Dustin Poirier, who is 25-5-0 with 1 no contest. The co-main event is a lightweight bout between Edson Barboza, who is 27-0, taking on Paul Felder, who is 16-4-0. And that is actually a rematch from a match in 2015. So this is 4 years in the making right here, this rematch. Edson actually won that first one. I just remembered I put that on my notes later on, so I'm going to repeat myself right there. That was just off the top of my head, but I'm going to repeat myself later, I can guarantee it. But, alright, before that is another lightweight bout between Islam Makhachev, who is a relative of Khabib Nurmagomedov, not through blood, but you know how the brother bond goes, you know what I mean? Makhachev is 17-1-0, and he's taking on Davi Ramos, who is 10-2-0. And that is a really good matchup. Before that, it's a heavyweight bout, and the only heavyweight bout on this card. It is between Curtis Blades, who is 11-2-0, and he's taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. Nailed that motherfucking name. Let's go. He is 24-0. And to start off the main card, it is a lightweight bout between Mirbek Tazminov. I was about to say Misrad Big Tech. Or, yeah, fuck. I fucked that up. Alright. Cut that out. Before that is a lightweight bout between Mirbek Chazmanov, who is 27-5-0, and he's taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira, who is 15-2-0. And on the prelims, the featured prelim bout is a women's flyweight bout between Joanne Calderwood, who is 13-4-0, taking on Andrea Lee, who is 11-2-0. And before that is a featherweight bout between Zabora Tukagov, who is 18-4-0, and he is taking on Lerone Murphy, who is 5-0-0 and undefeated. And to kick off the prelims, it's a women's bantamweight bout between Liana Jojua, 7-2-0, and she's taking on Sarah Moraes, who is 5-5-0. And on the early prelims, it is a lightweight bout between Atman Azteir, who is 11-0 undefeated, taking on Timu Pakalan, who is 8-2-0. Before that is a welterweight bout between Bilal Muhammad, big fan of Bilal, he's a fucking beast, who is 15-3-0, and he's taking on Takashi Sato, who is 15-2-0. And to start off the whole card, it's a welterweight bout between Nordin Taleb, who is 15-6-0, and he's taking on Muslim Salikov, who is 14-2-0. Alright, now that we got through the card itself, now let's go right into the main card and, go into the preview and breakdown and my predictions for it. It starts off with the lightweight bout between Mirbek Tazminov taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. We're going to go right into the last 3 fights for each fighter. Starting with Tazminov. His last fight was against Desmond Green. He won that fight by unanimous decision, and that was in September 2018. Before that, he fought Felipe Silva. He won that fight by KO in round 1, and that was in September 2017. Before that, he fought Damir Hadzovic, and he won that fight by KO in round 1 in April of 2016. For a lot of people who don't know, Tazmanov has had like visa issues, so he's had a lot of issues fighting in the States. So he's always had to wait for fights taking place out of country. And with this event happening in Abu Dhabi, it was a perfect time for him to jump on the card. But all right, going into the last three fights for Carlos Diego Ferreira. His last fight was against Rustam Khabilov. He won that fight by unanimous decision in February 2019, early this year. Before that, he fought Kyle Nelson, won that fight by TKO in round 2, and that was in December 2018. And before that, he fought... Oh, almost knocked the mic over. Before that, he fought Jared Gordon. He won that fight by TKO in round 1, and that was in February 2018. All right. Now, going right into the keys and thoughts. We're going to start with Mirbek Tazmanov. All right. So now, I'm going to be reading my notes, so my fucking focus is going to be here most of the time. But, all right. So, it's been shown time and time again that Ferreira loves to stand and trade, and, he has no problem doing that shit with any fucking opponent. And, he usually starts off fast, you know what I'm saying? But every time even every time he gets rocked, he still fucking stands and trade while he's fucking wobbly and, all fucked up and discombobulated and shit. Like his fight with Kyle Nelson, it seemed like he was getting rocked and he was in trouble, like, the first half of the fucking round. And, for a little bit, it looked like he was probably going to get finished at one point, you know what I'm saying? But, he was able to fucking stop Nelson's pressure with the takedown and, control the end of the round, the second end of the round on the ground, and then, get the TKO finish in the second. But, Tazmanov is very good at not getting suckered into a brawling sequence, and he picks and chooses his fucking shots. He doesn't like just go in all fucking crazy. So I don't see him feeding into Ferreira's aggression, and that'll definitely be a key for Tazmanov. Tazmanov lands just under 3 shots a minute, and Diego lands just under 5. So every time Ferreira comes forward, pushing forward, Tazmanov needs to find that fucking shot in between. Every time Ferreira comes in with those fucking shots, Tazmanov has, he has to find that fucking shot going right down the middle in between those fucking, those combo shots that Ferreira throws. Where was I? And then get right out of the fucking way, which Tazmanov is very fucking good at, you know what I mean? He's never stationary after throwing his strikes. Right after he throws the fucking strikes, throws a strike or a fucking combo, he gets right out of the motherfucking pocket and, just circles right away, which he will need to really utilize here against Ferreira. Which he will more than likely be coming forward. Ferreira will be, you know what I mean? All fight, even when getting hit. So Tazmanov needs to make sure that the shots that he lands are significant, you know what I mean? No matter fucking what. Another flaw that I see in Ferreira's game is that, my bad. Another flaw that I see in Ferreira's game is that he has a very bad habit of keeping his guard down after throwing his punches, you know what I mean? And usually after he throws like combos of 3 punches or more, he just like keeps his fucking hands. He'll like throw and then he'll just like keep his fucking hands down. And it's like Tazmanov is a very good counter puncher, and it can be very fucking important here when he fucking does that shit. Either counters him in between the fucking shots or right after the fucking shots. Throw that motherfucking shot right down the fucking middle. But when Ferreira comes in with his fucking shots and his hands right down right after, Tazmanov needs to land that fucking big shot or 2 right after Ferreira engages, and then, or attempt to counter, like I said, after, while he engages, My bad. I said that wrong. Tazmanov needs to land a big shot or 2 after Ferreira engages, or attempt to counter while he engages. Sorry about that. Maybe edit that out. Maybe we'll keep it in. Who knows? But another thing, though, is Tazmanov averages 2 takedowns a fight and has an average of, he averages 2 takedowns a fight and has an 87% accuracy on those fucking takedowns, you know what I mean? And, he would obviously rather keep it standing because he's a fucking beast on the feet. But in this particular fight, I would like to see Tazmanov utilize 1 or 2 takedowns in the first round, smother Ferreira on the ground, tire his arms out, holding Tazmanov, make Ferreira hold Tazmanov's weight up, on the ground, tire those fucking arms out, and then once the second round comes in and the dude can't even fucking throw his arms anymore, that's when you start picking him apart on the fucking feet, you know what I mean? Ferreira has pretty good takedown defense of 67% in his 8 UFC fights, but with the grappling ability of Tasmanov, that stat should go down a little bit after this fight, you know what I'm saying? I would like to see those average of 2 takedowns fight or more happen this fight, you know, and I think it will. But also, in Tasmanov's last fight against Desmond Green, he was throwing a high volume of kicks between leg kicks, body kicks, and, even head kicks, but mostly body kicks and leg kicks. And I would love to see him do that shit again this fight, but, make it a big factor like he did that last fight. You know, hopefully it's a big part of his game plan. And, every single time Ferreira comes in heavy on that lead foot, I say that shit all the time. Every time someone comes in on that lead foot heavy, chop that motherfucking leg. Chop that lead fucking leg. All right, going into the keys and thoughts for Carlos Diego Ferreira. This one really doesn't have to be that detailed, honestly. This is a pretty bad matchup for Ferreira, in my opinion. And the betting odds show it with Ferreira being a plus 200 underdog. There's honestly one main thing that he can do to win this fight, and that's, be on his bike and stick and move all fucking fight and win this shit by decision, or catch Tasmanov with, that perfect shot to get the TKO, to get the KO, or, get the shot to set up the TKO. After he gets rocked. It's been shown that Tasmanov can get beat, rocked, and dropped, and even taken down, and that has all happened in one fight, and that was against Michel Prazeres. But, that was the only fight that has ever happened to Tasmanov, all of those things in one fight, Tasmanov was taken down 3 times in that fucking fight, but Prazeres is a fucking tank, If you don't know who Michel Prazeres is, search that dude up, or actually, I got a fucking green screen now. That's him. But, yeah. Prazeres is a fucking tank, and he is much stronger than Ferreira, you know what I mean? And with Tasmanov's 87% takedown defense, I don't see that being much of a fucking factor in this fight for Ferreira, you know what I mean? The takedowns. He does have decent striking, and he has his knockout. He has his fair share of knockouts. But, so he can hope to connect and set something off and get something off of that. But regardless, the main game plan for Ferreira has to be, be patient, stick and move, and fucking, pretty much be ready to fight going backwards. It's a lot easier said than done because Tasmanov is a fucking powerhouse, and, with his strikes, he's a fucking powerhouse, and he can put anybody out if he lands one solid fucking counter. And it doesn't even have to be set up with combos first, you know what I mean? Final pick, I'm going with Mirbek Tasmanov by TKO or decision. Like I said earlier, this is a very bad matchup for Ferreira, and a very dangerous one, you know what I mean, with the way that Diego fights. Tasmanov has shown to slow down once it hits the 3rd round, if it gets that far, but I see him winning this one pretty significantly regardless. Alright, going into the next fights, it is the heavyweight bout between Curtis Blaydes versus Shamir Abdurakhimov. I ain't gonna fuck his... Damn. Just because I said I ain't gonna fuck it up, I'm gonna fuck his name up very next time I say it. Alright, we're gonna go into the last 3 fights, starting with Curtis Blaydes. His last fight was against Justin Willis. He won that fight by unanimous decision, and that was in March 2019. Before that, he fought Francis Ngannou. That was a rematch. He got TKO'd in the first one with a doctor stoppage. He got KO'd in this rematch in round 1 by him. Again, but this was in November 2018, and then before that he fought Alistair Overeem, and he won that fight by TKO in round 3, and that was in June 2018. Going to the last 3 fights for Shamil Abdurakhimov. I'm gonna make sure I don't fuck his goddamn name up. His last fight was against Marcin Tybura. He won that fight by TKO in round 2, and that was in April 2019. Before that, he fought Andrei Arlovsky, and he won that fight by unanimous decision in September 2018. Before that, fought Chase Sherman, who he won by TKO in round 1 in November 2017 as well. Alright, going into the keys and thoughts, starting with Curtis Blaydes. Again, this is another fight that really doesn't have to be, doesn't need that much detail in the breakdown. Curtis is the much bigger of the two with the 1-inch height advantage and the 4-inch reach advantage. But when I say like bigger, obviously when I mean I don't mean the 1 inch height advantage. When I say bigger, I'm talking about like weight wise, because Curtis usually weighs in around the max limit of 265, and Shamil comes in around like 235. So Curtis will need to utilize that size difference like he usually does, and of course, do what makes him good, which is wrestle, get that fucking wrestling going, and get the fight to the ground and completely smother Shamil with with the fucking wrestling and I read the same line twice. My bad. Completely smother Shamil with his weight and ground and pound, and Curtis averages almost fucking 7 takedowns in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? A fight. So every 3 round fight he's in, he averages 7 fucking takedowns. That's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? And with Shamil being taken down by both Andrei Arlovski and Derek Lewis, who are, both strikers are not known for their wrestling ability, Curtis should be, he should be getting a decent amount of takedowns this fight. Curtis is also, he's relentless as fuck with those takedowns, you know what I mean? And if Shamil gets backed up and, if he gets back up from the ground, he's more than likely going to get taken down almost fucking immediately, like all over again, you know what I mean? And he definitely should this fight. He needs to fucking do that. If he gets up, go for another takedown. Don't, don't get suckered into a fucking brawl. Do what fucking makes you, good, and use your fucking wrestling and make it a boring fight if you have to, you know what I mean? Also, when on the feet, though, he should throw body kicks, because he has the longer legs. They're 1 inch height difference, but I believe he has, 2 or 3 inches leg. I believe so. His leg length is 2 inches or 3 inches, also longer. So I believe he should utilize body kicks, like front body kicks, and even with the 4 inch reach advantage, throw body punches to slow Shamil down even faster, and more significantly when not going for the takedown. But I believe he should go for the takedown all fucking fight. Oh, right click by accident. Alright, going for the keys and thoughts for Shamil Abdurakhimov. I hate to pussyfoot this breakdown, but honestly, in usual heavyweight fights, there's not much to break down, as most heavyweight fights and fighters are more of all about their brute and power style and rely mainly on, the power shots on the feet. And, not many heavyweight fighters come in with real game plans. They just come in to fucking bang out, you know what I mean? They train, they get their cardio up, but the game plan, not many fighters come in with a complete game plan. But Shamil is the kind, is one of those fighters who doesn't come in with a game plan, and Curtis is the type of fighter that does, and I just told you the type that he usually comes in with and has success. God damn it, my bad. And has success with. But yeah. And Shamil, he's shown to have really good knockout power, as every heavyweight should, you know what I mean? But I think that is the only chance for him to win this fight is by knockout. Like I said in the keys and thoughts for Curtis, the man is fucking relentless, and he knows how he has to win, and he does exactly what he has to do without caring what the fucking crowd thinks or any of that. But like I said, if Shamil wins this, it'll be by knockout. But unfortunately for him, I don't see him keeping up with the relentlessness and just give up in the pace of Curtis, and just end up getting tired early on. If he can get the timing right, and perfectly time an uppercut in one of Curtis's entries on the takedown, like Ngannou did the second fight, that will be big. But Shamil is no Ngannou, and there's a massive speed difference with Shamil being the slower. But regardless, if he again, I need to move this fucking mic back a little bit. I keep fucking hitting this shit when I get crazy. Where was I? If he wants to win, he needs to fucking have his takedown defense on point. Time those goddamn uppercuts and the shots while, every time Curtis goes in. I haven't seen Shamil throw any knees, but if he could throw a knee, while Curtis goes in for a takedown, that'd be fucking clutch. I don't remember ever seeing him throwing a knee, so I don't think that's gonna fucking happen. But yeah, like I said, his takedown defense needs to be on point, and he needs to keep up. Needs to keep this fight on the feet. But a lot easier said than done against someone like Curtis, But, best bet would be Curtis up against the cage. And, my bad. The best bet for Shamil would be to get Curtis up against the cage and just fucking tee the fuck off and mix up the shots. Don't just throw fucking haymakers, mix up the shots with the uppercuts. You know what I mean? But, it's, like I said, easier said than done. My final pick, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm going with Shamil. It's like, nah. Obviously, I'm going with Curtis Blades by unanimous decision. Simply put, like I said, I don't think Shamil will be able to handle the size difference in the pace and relentlessness of the takedowns, you know what I mean? And I see Curtis, just having a completely dominant performance and control all 3 rounds with the same style and pace. Curtis is a huge favorite at a minus 450 odds. And I think this fight will match the fucking. I think that will match the outcome of this fucking fight. All right. Moving on to the next fight, it is a lightweight bout between Islam Makhachev taking on Davi Ramos. And going into the last 3 fights, starting with Islam Makhachev. His last fight was against Arman Saryukian. Damn it. Fucked up one damn name. Islam won that fight by unanimous decision in April 2019. Before that, he fought Kajan Johnson. He won that fight by submission via armbar in round 1 in July 2018. And before that, he fought Gleison Tebow, which he won by KO in round 1 in January 2018. Going into the last 3 fights for Davi Ramos, his last fight was against Austin Hubbard. He won that fight by unanimous decision, and that was in May 2019. Before that, he fought John Gunther, won that fight by submission with a rear naked choke in round 1. That was in November 2018. And before that, he fought Nick Hine, and he won that with a submission with another rear naked choke in round 1, and that was in May of 2018. All right, going into the keys and thoughts, starting with Davi Ramos. Davi is coming into this fight with, the usual height disadvantage. Ramos is only 5'6", and Islam is 5'11". But, for those of you who aren't familiar with Davi Ramos, this man is a motherfucking monster, dude. He is a tank and insanely strong for this 155 division. The guy fought in welterweight in his UFC debut against Sergio Moraes in 2017, I believe. But, has since dropped down to lightweight for his last 5 fights, including this one against Islam. And, he's looked very good. I mean, obviously he hasn't fought Islam yet, but the last 4 fights before this one coming up, and he's looked very fucking good. But yeah, Davi is a motherfucking monster that relies on his brute fucking strength and, either work to get the fight up against the cage to get the opponent to give up the back and jump on it, or just work for a fucking takedown and, work for the rear naked choke down there. But either way, he'll either get the fucking rear naked choke or just work for another submission. But he loves working for it and just uses his strength to, lock that shit in. And if he sees an opening and, he'll fucking sink that shit right in real fucking quick. But, if he sees a fucking opening and because of how fucking strong he is, if he locks that shit in like I read the fucking line twice again. I fucked. My bad, guys. If he locks a fucking submission in, usually it's fucking over from there. Islam was taken down only 1 time in his UFC career, and that was in his last fight against Saryukian. But before that, he had a takedown defense of 100%. Granted, Saryukian had to work extremely hard to get that one takedown because, he shot 12 times and only got 1 of those fucking takedowns, you know what I mean? And he was taken down 4 times himself. But he still got it, and I have no doubt that it should be easier for Davi to manage a takedown than it was for, Saryukian. All right, we're going to go into the keys and thoughts, starting with Davi Ramos. Davi is coming into this fight with the usual height disadvantage. Ramos is only 5'6", and Islam is 5'11". But for those who aren't familiar with Davi Ramos, the man is a fucking tank, dude. He is insanely strong for the 155 division. The guy fought in welterweight in his UFC debut against Sergio Moraes in 2017. But, he's since dropped down to lightweight for his last 5 fights, including this one against Islam. And, the 4 fights before this one, he's looked fucking great. You know what I'm saying? But, Davi is a fucking monster that relies on his brute strength to either, work the fight up against the cage to get the opponent to give up the back and jump on it, or just work for the takedown and, work for the rear naked choke on the ground, or, look for another submission if he sees the opening because of how strong he is. If he gets a fucking submission locked, it's pretty much over from there. You know what I mean? Islam was taken down one time in his UFC career, and that was in his last fight against Syufy. But before that, he had a takedown defense of 100%. Granted, Syufy had to fucking work for that fucking takedown. You know what I mean? He shot 12 times and only got one of those takedowns. And he was taken down 4 times himself. You know what I mean? But he still got it. And, regardless, I have no doubt that it should be easier for Davi Ramos to, manage a takedown. It should be easier for him to get a takedown than it was for Syufy. Regardless of how good Islam's wrestling is, I think Davi should still go for takedown after takedown after takedown instead of keeping the fight on the feet and standing, as Islam's strike defense is very high, and he absorbs under a strike a minute, which is pretty fucking nuts. Usually because he's the one shooting for the takedowns all the time. Davi should not get baited into that fucking kind of fight. He should be the one that be shooting first. But, I mean, Islam has been caught and he has been knocked out in his second fight. He's been knocked dead. So, it's possible and it can happen this fight because Davi is strong as shit. And if he lands a very heavy fucking shot, he could go down. But, since the fight Islam got knocked out, which, like I said, which was the second fight in the UFC, he has been insanely fucking good, you know what I mean? And that was his first loss ever. And since then, he's been very fucking smart, very strategic since, in every fight since. But it could very well happen because Davi has the fucking power to do it. You know what I mean? He has the power to put him out. He shouldn't focus on it, but, he has the fucking power. But, like I said, he should make this grinding style type of approach. The odds for this fight has Davi as a pretty decent sized underdog at plus 250. And Islam at minus 325, which is pretty shocking to me, as, I think this fight will be a lot more competitive than, what the fucking bookies think it's going to be. But anyways, moving on to the keys and thoughts for Islam Makhachev. Alright, again, like I said, this fight will be a lot more competitive than what the fucking odds, the odd makers say it will be. It's hard for me to see either fighter dominate the other. I see both fighters getting their share of takedowns, but one main thing Islam has to do is get out of the fucking way after he throws those fucking combos. He does not want Ramos to land that big fucking shot in between his own fucking shots. You know what I mean? When throwing the strikes, he should be ready to get right out of the fucking way of that fucking looping power haymakers that, haymakers, a hook that Ramos loves to throw over the top. With Islam's wrestling ability, he could, use and try and time those shits over and over again, time those overhands that Davi throws and then time it and go underneath. You know what I mean? But the problem with that is, Davi's a fucking monster, people don't understand. He's a fucking tank, and I can't see him, completely take him down over and over again, but, if he could time the fucking overhand, get under, and use the momentum of, Ramos, use the momentum and get the sweep, sweep Ramos' legs from underneath him, he could do that shit, and he could also trick Ramos into thinking that he would commit into a stand-up sequence, and, throw a few jabs to get Ramos to come forward, and then, again, use the momentum to get the takedown, but with Ramos being as strong as he is, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. In the moments in the fight, in the moments the fight is on the feet in a striking sequence, Islam needs to, keep Ramos at the end of his punches, and it should be easier to do with Ramos being the much shorter fighter, and with Islam striking downwards, it'll be a lot easier for him to fucking do that, to keep him at the end of the punches. But, at the, my bad, guys, I'm starting to get sick and shit. But, be on the move when doing so, and, when on the move, do not get pushed up against the fucking cage. Anytime he feels like his back is getting close to the fucking cage, back the fuck up, circle the fuck away, and get right back to the fucking middle, you know what I mean? And keep fucking, keep Ramos at the end of those goddamn jabs. Go right back to those goddamn jabs. But both fighters have the same reach, so when it comes to, when he paused the fucking jab, he needs to be careful, like I said earlier, with those fucking overhands that Ramos loves to fucking throw, you know what I mean? Pretty much, though, be ready to jab while moving backwards for a decent amount of time, and, most of the time, just keep it on the feet, keep them at the end of your punches, and, go for a couple takedowns if you need to, but I wouldn't, rely on a takedown heavy fight. But I could see this shit being a straight up grappling contest, you know what I mean? And I'm okay with it, because I think this is going to be competitive as fuck. A lot more competitive than what a lot of people think. Alright, my final pick, though, is definitely going to be a unpopular pick, but I'm picking Davi Ramos. A lot of people are sleeping on him, mainly because they don't know shit about him, especially the bookies that made him a fucking plus 250 underdog. I think this fight, like I said, it'll be really fucking competitive. Both fighters great with the wrestling in their own way, and I can't see either really ragdoll each other, you know what I mean? Islam needs his wrestling to do his best, but I can't see him taking Davi down over and over again, you know what I mean? But I could see both of them trying. I see the fight being close, and I think this is going to be, both fighters' most toughest matchup ever. You know what I mean? Both of the toughest matchups for both of them going against each other. But, I think Davi edges it out with his power shots, takedown defense, and the forward pressure. But, of course, with the fight being in Abu Dhabi, the fan favorite is Islam. And, like all the other Russian and Muslim fighters on the card. So if it goes to decision, we all know how shit goes sometimes in the fucking world of combat sports. So it could very well go to Islam no matter what, But I like to believe it'll be called right down the middle of this fight, and I think Davi Ramos pulls this shit off. But, alright. Going into the co-main event, which is a lightweight bout. It is Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder. Going into the last three fights, starting with Edson Barboza. His last fight was against Justin Gaethje. He lost that fight by KO in round 1 in March 2019. Before that, he fought Dan Hooker. He won that fight by TKO in round 3 in December 2018. And before that, he fought Kevin Lee. He lost that fight by TKO in round 5 in April 2018. And going into Paul Felder's last three fights, his last fight was against James Vick. He won that fight by unanimous decision in February 2019, early this year. Before that, he fought Mike Perry. He lost that fight in a close split decision in July 2018, and that was actually his debut at welterweight and first time he ever fought at welterweight, I believe. You hear my fucking annoying ass dog up there. He always barks at the most unnecessary fucking times. Unnecessary fucking times. He's a fat fuck. I love him, though. Before that fight, though, he fought Charles Oliveira. He fought Charles Oliveira. How did I fuck up his name like 3 fucking times? He fought Charles Oliveira. He won that fight by TKO in round 2, and that was in December 2017. Alright, going into the keys and thoughts. For this fight and the main event, I won't give one for each fighter. I'm just going to give, one big thought on the fight. I'm just going to mix it up and give my main thoughts and prediction on the fight itself, you know what I mean? Like I said in the top of the show, for those who don't know, this fight is a rematch from 2015 where Barboza won by unanimous decision. Each fighter had around the same amount of fights since the last time they fought, with Felder having 9 and Barboza having 8. So, both fighters are a lot more seasoned since the last time that they fought in 2015. But, looking back at the fights each fighter had, it shows Barboza has taken the most losses in less fights with 4 out of the 8 matches, you know what I mean? And 3 of those being by stoppage. And Felder has only 3 losses in his 9, in his 9 fights since the last time these two fought. And he only got stopped 1 time out of those 3, and that was due to a doctor stoppage because of a bad cut. So from what I see and what I've seen over the years watching both of these fighters is that, Barboza has taken the most damage of the two and, went on a decline. He's had his knockouts and very impressive knockouts, but, matchups make fights, the fighters that he fought, it was, it was bound to happen. Anyways, so, like I said, Barboza has taken the most damage of the two and declined a bit while Felder has gotten better. But in the same sense of style, they both pretty much, fight the exact same since the last time they fought in 2015. Both mainly strikers that never go for takedowns. Both have no problem, like, just getting in each other's face and just going shot for shot and kick for kick. I think this fight will come down to, Edson's cardio or who can connect with that perfect shot first because of the way they both fight. Of course, when you watch Edson's last few fights, most notably his fight with Khabib and Kevin Lee, if you can manage to get Edson down and smother him on top, he has a very hard time getting up, if at all. You know what I mean? Like I said, both fighters average less than a fucking takedown a fight, but I'd like to see Paul Felder get, one or two takedowns in this fight and tire Edson out. You know what I mean? It's the perfect game plan. Take down, tire the dude out, then pick him apart, tire him out where he doesn't even have much on his strikes going forward in the fight, and just pick him apart on the feet after. Both fighters have the best chance to win. Both fighters' best chance to win is by knockout or winning by decision. I don't see either going, for a submission attempt or winning by a submission. Edson's best shots are, of course, his leg kicks and his spinning kicks, and his spinning attacks in general. But a real slept-on part of his game is his body punches. He really digs them fucking shits deep, man. He fucking just, like, if you watch his fight against Dan Hooker, very good example on how fucking nasty his body shots are. He really digs them shits right in. And when he throws them, he has all ill intention. It's never padding to the body. Every time he fucking throws to the body, he just fucking, every fucking shot is a power shot. But, Where'd I go? Oh, yeah, my bad. So that would be perfect in this fight every single time Felder pushes forward, overly aggressive, and mixing the leg kicks as well on the break from the pocket and get back to your range. Edson's defense, striking defense is not the greatest either. You know what I mean? With taking almost 5 shots a minute and has been known to not have like any fucking head movement, so he literally just goes strike for strike, like I said earlier, and just takes one to give one. But when you see his last fight against Justin Gaethje, all Gaethje did was pressure forward and just throw looping fucking hooks over the fucking top, which led to one of them connecting for the fucking vicious knockout. And Edson did not move out of the motherfucking way for majority of those fucking shots that were thrown. And if Felder can be the aggressor like that, and this fight, he has a big chance to pretty much do the fucking same, because you can't just learn head movement overnight. Like I said, unless Edson has worked on his head movement, like, since the moment he got knocked out against Gaethje, he just went into the back locker room and just started working on head movement since. I don't see that fucking happening. You don't learn head movement overnight. It's a fucking fact. But yeah, so unless he's worked on it, like I said, and became, miraculously better, I see him getting fucking hit with a lot of fucking headshots. And like I said, he's never had the greatest head movement in his career, so it's doubtful that it happens now. If Paul can push forward and, land those fucking power shots and keep backing Edson up instead of fighting right in the middle, this should be a pretty easy fight for Felder. But of course, with a fighter like Edson, anything can fucking happen, and he could just fucking throw the most random fucking shit, and it'll be a fucking mean fucking shot when he fucking lands it, or if he fucking lands it, you know what I mean? Damn it, my fucking nose. I'm gonna sneeze. No, I'm not. Alright. But yeah, with a fighter like Edson, Felder has to be careful with his entries so Edson doesn't, snipe him with a jumping knee or a spinning back heel kick, you know what I mean? Felder has shown that he has a granite chin, but a kick from Barboza, especially a perfectly timed one, can fuck anybody's day up. And if he fucking lands that shit flush, he could fuck this dude's day up. Alright. But my final pick for this shit, I'm going with Felder by unanimous decision or TKO. Like I said, since they last fought each other, I saw Felder getting better as Barboza kind of declined. Like I said, he's had his good knockouts, his fair share of knockouts and shit. And I think Felder will even, I think he'll even up the score of this fight as Barboza won the first fight and, just straight up outclass him and not get suckered into a fucking shot-for-shot fight, but, be the aggressor and have Edson backing up the whole fucking fight. And, of course, though, Paul will have no problem fighting him right in the middle of the fucking cage. But I think he's going to be a little smarter this fight than he was the first time that they fought. And just come in with a pretty good game plan and get Edson tired out before he starts picking him apart, And, while Edson sticks to the game plan, while Edson sticks to the same game plan that he always has, which is, strike, and throw more strikes. So, yeah, you know what I mean? I think Paul has a pretty dominant victory here. And, wins by unanimous decision or by TKO. Alright. My bad, I was a little thrown off. Someone came downstairs. I think it was my sister-in-law. Fucking makes so much goddamn noise. Fucking annoying. Alright, going into the main event, which is the 5-round lightweight title bout between Khabib Nurmagomedov taking on Dustin Poirier. Last 3 fights for Khabib. Last fight was against Conor McGregor. He fought... the fuck am I saying? Last fight was against Conor McGregor. He won that fight by submission with a rear naked choke, more of a neck crank, in round 4 in October 2018. Before that, he fought Ali Quinta. He won that fight by unanimous decision in April 2018. And before that, he fought Edson Barboza, and he won that fight by unanimous decision in December 2017. Going into the last 3 fights for Dustin Poirier, his last fight was against Max Holloway. He won... Jeez, excuse me. Shit. Sorry. Last 3 fights for Dustin Poirier. His last fight was against Max Holloway. He won that fight by unanimous decision in April 2019. Before that, he fought Eddie Alvarez. He won that fight by TKO in round 2 in July 2018. And then before that, he fought Justin Gaethje. He won that fight by TKO in round 4 in April 2018. And like I said, for the last fight, same thing with this fight. I'm just going to do one main thought and prediction, you know what I mean? Talk about both fighters in one, and yeah. So, not really much to break down with this fight. It's a very straightforward matchup with Dustin being the better striker and Khabib being the much better grappler. And, Dustin has pretty good grappling in his own respect, but as we all fucking know, Khabib's grappling is very different from other fighters, Dustin's best hope to win this fight is to keep this fight on the fucking feet and just outbox Khabib every fucking round and stuff takedowns. And if taken down, he needs to force his fucking way back up almost fucking immediately before Khabib smothers and, makes him hold up his weight and, get his arms fucking tired out. Like I said, that's the perfect fucking game plan. Because if he tires his fucking arms out, he ain't gonna be able to fucking throw heat on the fucking feet no more. Like Khabib did with McGregor. He held him down, made McGregor try to fucking hold his fucking weight up, and McGregor couldn't even keep. I mean, McGregor always fights with his hands down already, kind of, his left hand mostly. But he had nothing on his fucking punches. His best shot was the left hand, as everyone says, and he had nothing on those fucking punches because his arms were just so fucking fatigued. But yeah, you know what I mean? Of course, Dustin has much better cardio than McGregor, but regardless, when you have a guy with such good top control and is really good at being top-heavy in grounded positions like Khabib, anyone's arms will get tired out at that point, Dustin cannot get too close to Khabib for too long because, the takedowns are going to come. If he goes in for strikes, he needs to fire, what he has and get the fuck out of the fucking way before Khabib shoots. I don't even want to say that Poirier should try and sprawl, because it's been shown that Khabib can still just grab a hold of a fucking foot, and when an opponent sprawls, he can still grab the back of the fucking opponent's leg, work his way to the fucking foot, and still fucking get on top. It's fucking ridiculous, and he'll just end up on top and just obtain the control. Dustin needs to literally get out of the fucking way of the takedowns. Don't sprawl. Don't even let him touch you. Get out of the fucking way. He cannot get pressured up against the fucking cage either, because when it's up against the cage, it's almost a given that he's gonna get taken down. Then, you know what I mean, in that situation. Um, Looking at the odds for this fight. My bad. Looking for the odds of this fight, they got Dustin at a huge plus 450 underdog, which is pretty much saying that he only has a puncher's chance. That's pretty much saying that that's pretty much what they're saying, the bookies. And in all honesty, no disrespect to Dustin, but that's pretty much true here. You know, Dustin he has great submissions, especially in his early stages of his career, but he's drifted away from that, from that part of his arsenal and focused on on his boxing a lot more. For example, if you watch his first fight against Holloway and watch the second fight against Holloway, you can see the levels of his boxing has gone up so much. You know what I mean? It's amazing how much better his boxing has gotten since that fight, and compare it to the rematch that he had with Holloway, but levels different from what it was. But yeah, regardless, I can't see him catching Khabib with a sneaky submission, and I don't see him outgrinding Khabib for a decision win. So, you know what I mean? I gotta go with the bookies and say, I agree saying that he has a puncher's chance. He has to time his strikes and, pace himself, because Khabib already has the plan to tire him out and, and make him quit and submit him, He already said it, and I believe him. But, you know what I mean? And, if you go in there and you don't pace yourself and you're already gonna fucking tire yourself out, throwing an unnecessary volume of strikes, then you're just speeding up the process for Khabib. You know what I mean? Also, when on the ground, because it's gonna go to the ground, he needs to make sure that Khabib does not wrap his fucking legs up with his own legs. Like he does to his opponents all the time. It's almost like how someone like has a body lock with their legs around you. You know what I mean? But around the fucking legs. And that is his shit. You know what I mean? If Poirier gets his fucking legs wrapped up by Khabib's legs, he's gonna get fucking mauled on the ground, like Khabib's done to every fucking fighter that he's fought. It's almost a given, that this is gonna fucking happen, because he does this all the time. Me and my buddy Brian just literally calls that shit the Khabib, because he was the first person that we ever saw like utilize that in an MMA fight, and he was the first person to do it, and then other fighters who are great at wrestling started following the blueprint. For example, Tatiana Suarez, she applies that technique now, and gets the opponent when she gets the opponent on the ground. She applies that shit. When Khabib gets the legs locked, it's almost impossible to fucking push off, and you know what I mean, just and you're just in his fucking world. You know what I mean, right there. As for Khabib, it's very fucking simple. Be yourself. Don't get caught up in a fucking striking match. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, like the fight where he went against Iaquinta. He got caught up in a fucking striking match. He was during the weigh-ins, he was watching Khabib. He was watching Muhammad Ali highlights on his phone while not weigh-ins, while he was weight cutting. He was watching Muhammad Ali highlights. While he was on the treadmill on his phone, and he wanted to test out his jabs and punches in the fight with Iaquinta. And literally, if you watch that shit, that's what he did. And he was able to fucking get away with it because Iaquinta slowed down after the first few rounds, as he should have, because he took the fight on a day's notice, as he was on the card already, but he was ready for he was scheduled for a 3-round fight with Paul Felder and not a 5-round fight. So, and the fight he had with Khabib was a 5-round fight for the title. And, Khabib probably could have taken Iaquinta down and, finished him in the 4th or 5th round. And, but he kept it a fucking boxing match, and he cannot fucking do that shit this fight. He was outstriking Iaquinta, but like I said, Iaquinta was tired, as he should have been. This fight, Khabib cannot do that fucking shit. Khabib can most definitely land a really nice shot on the feet, to rock or drop Dustin. But it'd be pretty stupid to make this a boxing match, because like I said, Dustin's boxing is very fucking good. It's very like tight and very, you know what I mean? He throws every punch with technique, you know. But yeah, Khabib just needs to pressure, set the fucking takedowns up with the strikes, and just do his usual mauling on the ground until, you know, he gets a stop or sees an opening for a choke or a, you know, or a Kimura, because he loves attacking the Kimura anytime he sees an arm down there. Also, because this fight is in Abu Dhabi, Khabib's dad is able to be in attendance, and more than likely he'll be in Khabib's corner. And if you follow Khabib's career, you'll know that his dad is a huge part of his career, and Khabib follows anything his dad says and will do anything, you know, that his dad wants. And his dad will fucking not accept Khabib doing some dumb shit like that this fight, especially if he's gonna be in his fucking corner. You know what I mean? Which makes this fucking fight a lot more scarier for Dustin, you know what I'm saying? Because Khabib's dad will tell him to stick to a fucking strict game plan, and you know what I mean? If he does, which he more than fucking likely will, because like I said, his dad's gonna be there, Khabib's gonna do some motherfucking damage, I believe. Like I said earlier, if Dustin wins, it's by one way and it's by knockout, but Khabib can win in all three ways, which is, you know, by a TKO or a knockout, submission, or a decision. But he just has to fight smart, and, you know, I believe he will. But my final pick for this fight, I'm obviously going with Khabib. I see him going into this fight with a strict game plan, you know, made by his pops, and get it done, you know, and make sure Dustin has a very rough and tough night, you know what I mean? Very possible that Dustin can catch him and get a knockout. Very possible, man. This is the sport of MMA. This is the sport where motherfuckers who aren't supposed to wins and shocks the fucking world, you know what I mean? So, very fucking possible, you know, as long as Khabib doesn't put himself in that position. It's very possible if Khabib puts himself in that position. My bad. But, yeah, it's hard for me to see that fucking happening. I see Khabib coming in very fucking smart and very fucking ready for this shit. You know, as long as he doesn't put himself in bad positions, he should be fine, and that's what I think is going to happen. Khabib will come in smart, go for a takedown after takedown, tire Dustin out, and get a finish, or, you know, just do that for 5 rounds straight and get a unanimous decision. But, yep, alright, that was my preview and breakdown for UFC 242. This was, my first preview and breakdown video. Obviously, it's a trial and error thing. I messed up a lot of parts, but that was bound to happen, and I don't give a fuck. But, nah, for real though, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, all of my, subscribers on the YouTube channel, all the subscribers on the podcast channel in general, all the listeners, all the viewers. I appreciate the fuck out you. Thank you for sticking with me so far. I have a lot of, you know, big plans for the show, and, you know, hopefully we could keep growing and keep growing rapidly, because that would be fucking awesome. If you're watching this now, not a subscriber yet, hit me with that subscribe button. You know, hit me with a like if you like the video, and hit me with some feedback. And, oh, actually, before I fucking sign off, quick shout out to Weili Zhang. She beat the fuck out of Jessica Andrade, and she finished her in 45 seconds, like I said she was gonna do. Not by 45 seconds, but I said she was gonna get that fucking finish and become the new champ, and she did. Guys, you know, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys liked it, and you know, more to come. Today is Thursday, September 5th. Tomorrow, Friday, September 6th, I will be interviewing UFC heavyweight Juan Adams via Skype, and that interview will be posted hopefully maybe Sunday. If not Sunday, more than likely Monday. But yeah, you know, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys then. This is Nahh B Podcast. I am your host, Sonny Nahh B, and I am out. I don't know why I keep fucking ending my videos with fucking snaps, but I'm out.
Fuck it. I don't have an intro made, so Let's just do some wannabe gangsta shit real quick. Fuck it, let's go.
Welcome to Nahh B, covering sports of all sorts. If there's any breaking news, you know we got the report. Our one and only goal is to make this your podcast resort. Get you your favorite team updates, both on and off of the court. Breaking down everything, NFL, NBA, MMA. Not much a soccer fan, but might even cover Team USA. Is KD leaving Golden State? Is Jordan really the GOAT? Is LeBron comfortable in LA? We'll keep the team afloat. If GSP fights Khabib, will he fight him toe to toe? And a Wilder Fury rematch, who's always gonna go? We'll cover everything and anything you wanna know. Whatever it may be, we'll break it all down on the show.